The subject of Hijrah is one which is critically important wherever believers are facing persecution and do not have the strength and the power to be able to protect themselves. It was because in Mecca there were those people who were slaves and semi-slaves and could not be protected by the tribe because of tribal law. And they were being persecuted and being killed, that our Prophet, Allah's blessing be upon him, set the example of Hijrah. And he asked them to migrate to a Christian country, Abyssinia. And they went to Abyssinia, and Ja'far, the son of Abu Talib, radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, who is not a slave, not a semi-slave, but he probably was sent there to be a leader of their group. And the negus of Abyssinia provided them with security. Similarly, when Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, his uncle Abu Talib, died, and the new head of the tribe of Banu Hashim was Abu Lahab, who was his uncle, but who was very hostile to him. And the tribe would no longer give him protection, and his life was in danger. Then he and the entire community of Muslims, they made Hijrah to the city of Yathrib in the north, which is now renamed as Medina. Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he destroyed the temple, the idols in the temple, and they built a fire for him and they threw him in the fire. But Allah saved him. He could not continue to live amongst them. And then he made Hijrah with his nephew Lut alayhi salam to a land which Allah has blessed for all of mankind, the Holy Land. So we see the example of Hijrah. If you are also living in a place where your fate is being threatened, that security, not your physical security, but the security of your fate and that of your family and your children, then as well Hijrah becomes incumbent. And modern Western civilization is not only a godless civilization, it is not only a decadent civilization, but it is a civilization with magnificent powers of deception. Oh yes, unsurpassed powers of deception. And it is not content to live a godless and decadent way of life, but it is hell-bent on transforming the rest of mankind to be carbon copies of themselves. So if you are living in the West, you are Moroccan, but you left Morocco because of the British pound, and you went to live in Britain. Or you left Morocco because of the euro, and you went to live in France and in Belgium. You're going to lose your children. You're going to lose your grandchildren. When they come back to visit Morocco, they say, I can't live here. I can't live here. I want to go back home, because France is heaven and Morocco is hell. This is the transformation that takes place. When nuclear war takes place, you can close your eyes and expect that electricity supply and therefore supply of energy will be disrupted. You can close your eyes and expect that the supply of water will be disrupted. And finally, for cities where cities cannot feed themselves, food has to come to the city from outside, the fresh food, not the preserved food. And the supply of food would be disrupted. You don't need a PhD to understand something so simple. And so you're going to have riots in the big cities because people will be starving to death. People will have no water to drink. People living in high-rise buildings and they can't climb up. People who are imprisoned with toilets in their houses and have no way for disposal of human waste. And they don't know how to live with the smell. Yes. So if they choose, because they are more learned than the Messenger of Allah, and they want to continue to live in the cities of the modern age, then leave them where they are. So the manner in which you prepare for nuclear war is, first of all, to withdraw from the cities, at least have a backup residence, a place you can go to in the remote countryside with its own independent supply of water. I went to Skardu and then I drove out into Shigar. And in Shigar, they drink mountain water. Yes, the snow melts and they get the water from the mountains. And they all look so healthy in Shigar, healthy people. And they're able to have their own independent supply of water. And the electricity comes and goes, the internet comes and goes. It's such a nice place to live when you're so remote. And they're able to survive without electricity. They heat their homes with a stove called Bukhara, and they use wood for heating. And so if you move out of the cities and you seek refuge in the remote countryside, mountainsides where 5G and 6G can't reach you, mountainsides and places where rain falls, and you take some sheep and goats, you will have food, you will have milk, you'll have meat, you'll have water.